Hello my friends, welcome to another seasonal TBR video where I update my TBR cart, which is honestly just sitting off screen right now. I was kind of too lazy to pull it in. I'm going to be sharing a bunch of books that I want to read this summer, both physical books that will be going on my cart, as well as a bunch of ebooks that I have kind of saved in a collection that I feel like good summer reads. As I mentioned in my reading slump video, I've been struggling to read. I've been in a weird mood where I've been wanting to read nonfiction, which is great, but you can't binge read and just devour nonfiction generally like you can fiction. So I'm hoping I get out of this slump and just enjoy reading as many of these books as possible. Like with my spring TBR video, I do not believe that I'm going to read all these books. I am quite a mood reader, but I like to make a smaller pool for me to pull from for the season, for the month. That's why I create my monthly TBRs. It helps with the overwhelm, and sometimes I just, read other things than what's in there, but I find this helps. I enjoy doing it. That's why I'm doing it. I was going to update, I said in my spring TBR cart update, I was going to tell you how many books I read that I shared in that video, and I had guessed that I would only read 5 of them. Some of you placed guesses, which is great. I loved it. I asked for you to do so, and my grand total, I don't know how many books this was out of. Probably should have figured that out. Doesn't really matter. Out of however many books it was, here, I'll put it on the screen. I can figure it out. I read a grand total of 7 of those books. Now, I didn't start this at the beginning of spring like I am doing this at the beginning of summer. That was just over 2 months, I think, that I had to read them. I have a full 3 months to read these books. There is varying sizes on here. I'm hoping I can hit 10. I'm hoping I can hit 10. That's my goal. So I have lots of stacks of books here. We are just going to start going through them. I will share what I'm excited to read. And because these are generally unread books, I don't have a whole lot to say about them, but I'll say something. So first up, Chronicles of Avonlea by L.M. Montgomery. I believe this is the book for July for A Year of Maud. We're definitely reading it this summer. I think August is maybe The Story Girl, which I didn't pull down. That one will be a reread for me, but I've never read Chronicles of Avonlea. These are short stories, and I think some of them feature Anne. I could be wrong because I've never read them. I'm curious to see if so there's the show Road to Avonlea, which is kind of based off of The Story Girl, but I'm wondering if this has something to do with it as well, because these are Chronicles of Avonlea. I don't really know. It is 12 short stories set in Avonlea, so it's going to be a good time for sure. Then I've had this book on my shelf for quite a while, The Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey. I actually just saw this in a thrift store yesterday with a better cover and was like, oh, maybe I should pull my book off to read it. So I think this is a Golden Age detective story. I don't really know much. The back doesn't really say much. I don't have much information about it, but it's one that I purchased a while ago. I would like to read, so it's going on the cart. This one is deceivingly thick. It's The Lost Prince by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is a children's classic. The font isn't actually that big. I thought it was bigger. I remember it being bigger. And there's no pictures. I thought there was pictures. But I mean, the margins and the spacing, I don't think it would be that long to get through. It says it's, how many pages? 515-ish pages, but I think it would be a quick read. This is about a 12-year-old who has moved around with his father. One day he learns the secret that his father has been hiding. The heir to the throne of their home country, which has been in turmoil ever since the king was overthrown 500 years ago, is ready to reclaim the throne and restore peace to the country. I think it'll be a good read. I enjoy a number of Frances Hodgson Burnett's other works, so I suspect I'll like this one. Okay. Oof. Okay. I'm scared to share this one. I feel like, odds are I probably won't read it anyway, but I feel like I should. I always say I'm going to finish this series. I need a push. I didn't enjoy book 1. This is book 2 in C.S. Lewis's space trilogy, and I never actually know how to say it. Paralandra? I found Out of the Silent Planet incredibly boring. Like I mentioned in my science fiction recommendations video, classic science fiction and me don't really go together very well. But I do want to finish the series. It's not that big, not that daunting. The problem is book 3 is like 3 times as thick. And so once I read this, that's the next one to read. So I'm assuming we're following Dr. Ransom. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't even remember much from the first book, honestly. So I might have to look up a summary because it's been years. But there's also the spacing and the margins in this are non-existent. I should do it. Maybe, does anyone want to do a buddy read? Like where the buddy reader that you're reading it with is going to probably be quite terrible, but maybe some accountability or something? Maybe that would help me. Oh, I want to reread The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. This is one of my rereads for the year. And I feel like the summer is a good time to read it. First time I read it was on the beach in Mexico. And summer vibes. I mean, it was the middle of winter, but summer vibes. So I feel like it would be a good time to reread it. This is set in World War II. It's epistolary. There are letters back and forth between a bunch of different people. Really enjoyed it when I read it for the first time. Found the movie to be really well done. Very interesting how you can make a movie out of something that is written in letters. So I'm looking forward to rereading that. Then I have a couple nonfiction here in a row. How to Pray, A Simple Guide for Normal People. I got this book a long time ago and I read the first portion and then never continued. And I think I need to start over and try it again. I don't know why I stopped it, honestly. So just need to start over. A book about prayer. Never a bad idea. Then I have Do Hard Things by Alex and Brett Harris, a teenage rebellion against low expectations. This is written by twin brothers that they did a lot in their younger years. And my oldest has read this book. I want my second to read it, but I thought I should have an idea of what it is as well. I think there's quite a few stories of people, teenagers, doing hard things. Teenage rebellion against low expectations, so people that are rebelling against that. I think that one will be good. And then we've got The Young Men We Need by Brant Hansen, God's Purpose for Every Guy and How You Can Live It Out. So I've read the regular edition for this, The Men We Need, and got this one out, bought this one. So my 12-year-old can read it in school this next year. So I thought maybe I would read it before him. That makes sense. I think my husband's gonna read it along with him. So I wanna read it first. Next up, we've got Tortured for Christ by Richard Wurmbrand. This is part of my DIY summer school plan that I made. I shared that a few weeks ago. And there's actually a number of books on here for that. This is a Christian, I think he was Jewish. I just started reading his wife's story. I've read a few pages and then I've put it off and got distracted by other books. Yeah, this is also a movie, and he spent a bunch of time in prison during, in communist Romania time. I hear that it's pretty brutal, but I think it'll be good. I got Eric Walter's Trapped in Ice that I put on my cart, or going to put on my cart, because I think this one I'm gonna get my 12-year-old to read in school this year, and it has to do with the Canadian Arctic Expedition of 1913, which I'd never heard of before finding this in a little free library. I think it'll be good. Hopefully it's written well. I think it would be a interesting way to learn about something in history that I don't know anything about. And then I'm getting close to getting to the point where I need to create a new literature degree that will be coming in the fall. And so I want to read Father Brown, The Essential Tales by G.K. Chesterton. I started this years ago. I've read a number of the short stories, not sure how many, have more to go, and I would like to finish these since G.K. Chesterton was my literary mentor for the year. I've read 2 books by him, I think. Was it just 2? Yeah. Want to read this. He definitely wasn't the easiest literary mentor, but I'll share more about that when I do a recap. Okay, here next stretch is poetry books. So I got a lot of these for my birthday, shared them in my birthday book haul, We've got Praying Outside by Brittany Litster. Yeah, poetry about praying outside. Joy Trickles In, Navigating with Hope by Yuli Kay. These ones, yeah, her Instagram's really cool because she's got like dried flowers here and they're in color there. I haven't read any of that yet. Then we've got Poetic Surrender by Molly McTurnan. She has a booktube/authortube channel here on YouTube. Definitely check her out. I want to read that one. The last poetry collection I put on here is Fleeting Things by Rachel H. And she was actually recommended to me by Molly McTurnan. So I haven't read any of this yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Six of Crows. I'd like to get to the series. I read her other series. What was it called? The Shadow and Bone trilogy last summer. I read a lot last summer. Last summer was an anomaly. Every other summer I struggle. So I would like to read this duology this summer. That'd be cool. A historical fiction, I think is what it is. All Quiet on the Western Front. This is about World War I, and I think it will be very interesting and hard-hitting. So there's that one. I have a book of short stories, The World of Jeeves. I started reading this last summer. Not very far. I'd really like to finish it this summer. That would be ideal. Jeeves is like the butler. Yeah, he is a butler to Bertie Wooster, and the stories are just a little bit funny. So I need to finish that. Then I thought I would pull off a classic that I haven't read since university. This was one of the few books I enjoyed in university. It's called Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town by Stephen Leacock. And I actually just was at a thrift store. That video will be going live on my personal channel tomorrow. And saw another book by Stephen Leacock, and I was very tempted to buy it, but I didn't. These are just a little bit satire stories set in small town Canada somewhere. They're very much like a little event happens and then small town gossip blows it out of proportion. Pretty funny from what I remember, but it's been a long time since I read it. Okay, next stack. This is pretty much all classics and nonfiction in various order here. Anthony Trollope. I would like to read one of his books. The Warden, I think, is the first in the Barchester Towers series, or whatever that series is called. I don't know anything about it, but I've been slowly collecting some Trollope, so I would like to read it. Yeah, and I've like tried to read the back, and I just don't really understand it. So it's just one of those books I need to read and then figure out what it is. I've had this one for a while. Timothy Keller with his wife, Kathy Keller, The Meaning of Marriage, Facing the Complexities of Commitment with the Wisdom of God. Someone was talking about this book recently, and I was like, oh, I have that book. I should read it. And this is based on a sermon series that he did. Okay. He shares the vision of what marriage should be according to the Bible. I mean, it's Tim Keller. I think it's gonna be great. There was some cat hair in there. Then I recently hauled R.C. Sproul's What is Reformed Theology? Understanding the Basics. So it's an accessible introduction to a set of beliefs and concepts that have been immensely influential in the evangelical church. So this might be a little bit denser, but good thing I'm in the mood for nonfiction. July, we've got Jane Austen July coming up. So I believe that I want to reread Persuasion because it is my favorite of hers, but I've only read it once. So I want to reread it again, I think in this edition? That's a question mark. I have a few editions of it. We'll figure out which edition, but I want to reread that. I think I said a reread. Okay, yes. And then I've got Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. I've heard very, very good things about this biography of Jane Austen. Once again, just realized how small the font is. There's some pictures. That'll help. Oh, this is gonna take me a while to read. Small font is scary. I wonder if my library has the ebook. Maybe I could borrow that. That would be less daunting. Or maybe the audio, but I'm not as good at picking that up. So I think it would be good. It's just a little overwhelming. And I'd really like to read Much Ado About Nothing. This is the No Fear Shakespeare that has the plain modern English on one side and then the original Shakespeare on the other. I think that's a good way for me to read my first Shakespeare since high school. I don't know anything about Much Ado About Nothing, so I'm kind of going into this one blind. Maybe I'll look some stuff up before I read it. Okay, now let's talk about ebooks, because my Kobo is getting just filled with books that I want to read, and I need to make some progress in them. So let's add some of these to the summer reading list. First of all, out of my comfort zone, but Tiffany has that for a slot on her summer book bingo, and I already know this is the book I want to read for it. It's Sense and Suitability by Pepper Basham. I don't know when it's coming out. I got the e-arc from Annette Galley. Assuming it's like a romance. I know nothing, but I enjoyed Pepper Basham's book last year when I tried some romance books. Can I remember what it was called? It was, I know there's Loyally Luke and Positively Penelope, but I didn't read those. I read the one before it all. Completely forget the name. Anyway, so I'm willing to try another one of hers. And that's the one. I want to read Quarter Labyrinth by Victoria McCombs. This one either has come out already or is coming out right away. This one's going to be a duology, and I don't know anything about it, but she's knocked it out of the park every time I read her books. So I want to try that one. Oh my goodness, there's so many books. I don't even know how to pick like which ones to put on this list. I want to read Into the Abyss. This is about a plane crashing in northern Alberta in the 60s or 70s, and there's a, let's just find the details here because that'll be better. It killed 6 people. 4 survived. The rookie pilot, a prominent politician, a cop, and a criminal he was escorting facing charges. Kind of sounds like the beginning of a joke, but this is a true story. So I don't know, that one sounds very interesting. Very curious about it. I also have Half a Soul out from the library that I would really like to read. I've heard good things. I've heard conflicting things about Half a Soul, but it is a fantasy book. Also know nothing about it. What else we got? How about The Enchanted Greenhouse? Also have that one. Also know nothing. Fantasy as well. If you guys have read some of these, please tell me. Are they good? Like what do you think that I would love about them? I got Gelato at the Villa. This is by Robin Jones Gunn, and I'm assuming this is the second book in the Suitcase Sisters. Now I see that she's not following the same people for this series, which is interesting and a good choice, I think, because I was wondering how she was going to do that. Because the way that the first book ended, which I read a couple months ago, Tea with Elephants. Gelato at the Villa, we're going to Italy. For years, going to Italy was my dream, and driving on a Vespa, which they are driving on the cover, was my dream. So I think that'd be fun to read, hopefully. A Study of Shattered Spells. I just barely got this one delivered. I ordered the ebook for the Kickstarter. Would have loved to have supported the physical book, but shipping to Canada it wasn't worth it. So I'm very excited about that. A long time ago, 6 months ago maybe, I sent out a newsletter saying how I was looking for like Harry Potter, except where we follow the teachers, and I got multiple people emailing me back saying that book is coming, and it's A Study of Shattered Spells, so very excited. There's also Unsinkable by Jenny Walsh. This has to do with the Titanic. I came across it when I was looking at books set from 1900 to 1920 for my kids for school, and I was thinking my oldest maybe would read it, but I want to read it first because I only came across it by my random searching, so I have no idea if it's any good. What else we got here? Freckles by Jean Stratton Porter. I'd really like to get to that one. It's on my priority list on my Kobo, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I also want to read All That Really Matters by Nicole Deese. I believe this is the first book in that duology, and my daughter has read it, said really good things about it. I don't really know much. I know our main character has a red Tesla. I think she's an influencer, and it's just one that the cover really screams summer to me. Just looking through here, I think I'm gonna stop there. Not that there aren't other books I would love to read, but it can get overwhelming. The whole point of these TBRs and things is to curate the list a little bit so that I don't get overwhelmed. So the physical books, those ebooks, those are the ones I would like to prioritize in the summer. Of course, I 100% know, like I said, I will be picking up other books for sure. It's just how my mind works, my reading life works. Let me know though, I cannot talk today. Let me know though if you've enjoyed any of these. That always helps me pick them up. And let me know what's on your summer list, because it may make me add to my list a little bit. Thanks so much for joining me for another video.